Good evening, you're watching the news from the Sultanate of Oman television. First the headlines. Assigned by His Majesty the Sultan, His Highness Sayyid As'ad bin Tariq Al Saeed receives the Prime Minister of the State of Palestine. Assigned by His Majesty the Sultan, the Minister of Health participates in Gavi and COVAX Summit under the theme One World Protected. The COVID-19 Supreme Committee issues a set of new decisions that include permission to reopen mosques only to perform 5 daily prayers and exclusive of Friday prayers, permission to go to the beaches and public parks, resume collective sports activities and ending ban on commercial activities at night period. Vaccination campaign for Royal Oman Police personnel starts at the Ministry of Health, and it reports 14 deaths and 1,258 new COVID-19 cases. And the divisions of the Sultan Armed Forces continue the completion of recruitment procedures at their various units. Those were the headlines, and now the news in detail. His Majesty Sultan Haitham bin Tariq receives a cable of thanks from the custodian of the two holy mosques, King Salman bin Abdulaziz Al Saud of the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, in reply to a cable of condolences sent by His Majesty the Sultan on the death of Al Jawhara bint Muhammad bin Abdulaziz bin Abdurrahman Al Saud. Assigned by His Majesty Sultan Haitham bin Tariq, His Highness Sayyid As'ad bin Tariq Al Saeed, Deputy Prime Minister for International Relations and Cooperation Affairs responsible for His Majesty the Sultan, receives in his office here today His Excellency Dr. Mohammed Shtaya, Prime Minister of the State of Palestine, and his accompanying delegation. The meeting exchanged cordial conversations and reviewed bilateral relations between Oman and Palestine. It also touched on aspects of the existing cooperation between the two sides to serve the common interests of the two countries and their people. The meeting was attended by His Excellency Sayyid Badr bin Hamid Al Busaidi, Foreign Minister, His Excellency Riyad Najib Al Maliki, Minister of Foreign Affairs and expatriate of the State of Palestine, the two advisors at His Highness Sayyid As'ad's office, His Excellency Under-Secretary of Foreign Ministry for Diplomatic Affairs, His Excellency Dr. Taysir Ali Farhat, Palestinian Ambassador to Oman, and the delegation accompanying the guest. Assigned by His Majesty Sultan Haitham bin Tariq, His Excellency Dr. Ahmed bin Mohammed Al Saeedi, Minister of Health, participated through video conferencing in Gavi and COVAX Summit under the theme One World Protected. The event was organized by the Vaccine Alliance Gavi. His Excellency called during the summit on all donors countries to support COVAX in order to cover the shortage in financial resources, pointing out that the coherent roles will lead to save lives and ensure that vaccines reach poor countries quickly and fairly. His Excellency also praised the tireless efforts being conducted by the Vaccines Alliance to make the world more convenient for living for millions of people despite challenges in faces due to the pandemic. He pointed out the alliance provides its ability to solidarity and responding quickly to its fairly global distribution of vaccines. The Supreme Committee tasked with tackling development resulting from the coronavirus COVID-19 pandemic today issued a set of new decisions to be enforced immediately. First, permission to reopen mosques whose capacity is not less than 100 worshippers only to perform the 5 daily prayers and exclusive of Friday prayers. The reopening takes place in accordance with procedures announced earlier by the Ministry of Awqaf and the Ministry of Health. Ending the decision of prohibiting all commercial activities in all governorates of the Sultanate from 8 p.m. to 4 a.m., the reopening of businesses outlets should be made in accordance with a decision on 50% downsizing the number of shoppers at commercial outlets, restaurants and cafeterias. Children below 12 years old are hereby permitted to enter the said business outlets. Permission to open exhibition and wedding halls and similar collective commercial activities provided attendance at the outlets does not exceed 30% of their capacity and to a maximum of 300 people in the case of large halls. Precautionary health protection procedures have to be taken in all halls or gathering areas. Omanis and the GCC citizens who are residents in Oman are permitted to move across land borders between Oman and the GCC states to perform their daily tasks. They are required to show proof of the assignments entrusted to them by their respective places of work. Permission to go to beaches and public parks. This decision bans gatherings of any kind and stresses commitment to precautionary protection procedures. Permission to resume collective sports activities in open places while in the same time adhering to protective health procedures. Permission to open sports halls and downsize people's attendance there to a maximum of 50% of the capacities. Permission to frequent swimming pools, sports halls and their facilities at hotels establishments only for tenants and membership holders of the specific hotel establishments. Protective health procedures have to be undertaken in all cases. The Supreme Committee also extended till further notice its decision prohibiting entry to the Sultanate by travelers arriving from Sudan, Brazil, Nigeria, Tanzania, Sierra Leone, Ethiopia, the United Kingdom, India, Pakistan, Bangladesh, Egypt and the Philippines. The committee added to the above-mentioned travel ban list the following countries: Thailand, Malaysia and Vietnam, and travelers arriving from any other country if they transited through the above-mentioned countries within a period of 14 days from applying to enter the Sultanate. This decision takes effect from 2 p.m. Saturday 5th June 2021 till further notice. The committee advises Omani citizens not to visit the above-mentioned countries during this period. The Supreme Committee hereby stresses the decision related to commercial activities issued today aimed to alleviate the impact of the pandemic on the private sector and stimulate different businesses' activities without prejudice to procedures set to protect individuals and society against COVID-19. The Supreme Committee urges all operators of economic activities to impose the approved precautionary measures announced by the departments concerned and to penalize anyone who breaches the precautionary measures. The committee reiterated that it will continue to monitor the situation and reviews its decisions in accordance with epidemiology development. According to the committee, will take appropriate decisions whenever deemed necessary, including the reclosure of activities or imposing a ban on movement if necessary to help secure public health from the disease. May Almighty Allah protect everyone against any harm. The Royal Oman Police has launched the field vaccination campaign against COVID-19 for its staff members in the ROP hospital. More details in the following reports.
The Oman Police had launched the field vaccination campaign against COVID-19 for its staff members on Wednesday, the 2nd of June 2021 in the ROP hospital. The launch was under the auspices of Brigadier Dr. Abdul Malik bin Sulaiman Al-Kharousi, Director General of Medical Service of ROP, with the presence of ROP commanders. All ROP staff will be vaccinated based on a specific time frame, which shall be done by setting locations in every geographical formation nationwide to get the vaccine. This step tops as a priority from the ROP headquarters to maintain health and safety for its staff members. Also, to ensure that all policing operations and duties are on the right track amid secure, safe, and healthy environment. It is one of the essential urgencies to meet the protocol of social immunity, which will be contributing to reclaim normal life again. Brigadier Dr. Abdul Malik bin Sulaiman Al Kharousi, Director General of Medical Service of ROP, stated during the campaign launch that ROP staff are in the front line of defense and deal directly with the community, which requires them to be fully protected and safe from being infected by COVID-19 virus. And accordingly, ROP headquarters had directed the formation and the dispatch of various medical task force to all geographical commands and service centers for vaccination within a short period of time.
The Ministry of Health and the Ministry of Education continue their efforts on vaccinating general diploma students and teachers around the Sultanate, where the percentage of vaccinated students and staff of general diploma in South Sharqiya Governorate exceed 50%. More details in the full report by Sultan bin Saif Al Sarai.
Here is one of the general diploma students and staff vaccination centers. And the process of COVID-19 vaccination is going on as planned under the supervision of the Directorate General of Health Services and Directorate General of Education in South Sharqiya Governorate.
I took the vaccine after a complete conviction that it is the safe way after Allah to protect myself and my family from coronavirus COVID-19 pandemic. I am trying to convince my schoolmates to take the vaccine as soon as possible. Both students and parents should know that it is a must to get the vaccine to enter the world's countries for studying.
Many steps have been taken by these vaccination centers, represented in various precautions such as organizing the process of receiving students and making sure that the place is ready with all equipment.
This vaccination is very important for our health because we know people are suffering in the world because of this pandemic. So I insisted to take the vaccination.
More than 58,000 students and employees are targeted in South Sharqiya Governorate. So far, 68% of students and 53% of employees took the vaccine, where there are some awareness programs taking place in order to reach the target. As we can see here, general diploma students and teachers are taking the vaccine happily in order to be able to proceed to the final exams and to be in one room without worrying about coronavirus. Sultan bin Saif Al Sarai from South Sharqiya Governorate, Wilaya of Sur.
The Ministry of Health announced 14 deaths and 1,258 new cases and 692 COVID-19 recoveries. 529, the ministry pointed out that the total number of COVID-19 cases registered in the Sultanate reached 219,529, while the total number of deaths reached 2,370. The total recovered cases reached 201,113. The ministry indicated that the total number of inpatients reached 824, of which 265 are in intensive care units. An expanded virtual meeting was held at the Ministry of Health today to review the national strategy for immunization against COVID-19. The virtual meeting was held under the chairmanship of His Excellency Dr. Ahmed bin Mohammed Al Saeedi, Minister of Health. The meeting was attended by MOH's undersecretaries along with a number of senior officials of the ministry and from the governorates. His Excellency the Minister reviewed the general features of the national strategy for immunization against COVID-19, referring that despite the community response for the vaccination campaign, the coverage rate in the governorate is varying due to the concerns of the early people and parents. On his turn, Badr Saif Al-Rawahi, Director of Communication Diseases Control, gave a presentation on vaccination, the target group during the next week, as well as the number of received under the procurement vaccines. His Excellency Sayyid Badr bin Hamid Al Busaidi, Foreign Minister, reviewed with Her Excellency Anne Lind, Foreign Minister of the Kingdom of Sweden, the developments in Yemen and efforts exerted to achieve peace and stability. The meeting also touched upon existing cooperations between the two countries in various fields and ways of supporting and developing them, in addition to discussing a number of regional and international issues of common concern. Still to come in our news bulletin. The National Museum prepares to open a social corner for the professions of late Sultan Qaboos bin Said bin Taimur. May Allah rest his soul in peace. Welcome back to the news from the Sultanate of Oman Television. Divisions of the Sultan Armed Forces and in coordination with the Ministry of Labor are continuing the completion of selecting and recruitment procedures for citizens who met the general conditions for recruitment and employment announcements. Royal Army of Oman continues the recruitment procedures to enroll those who were accepted to join the military training as new soldiers in all its units. Royal Air Force of Oman and Royal Navy of Oman continue to receive employment applications electronically. These efforts come to absorb job seekers and recruit national cadres at divisions of the Sultan Armed Forces and other departments of the Ministry of Defense to contribute in serving the homeland, its great leader and loyal people. The National Museum is preparing to open a special corner for the possessions of late Sultan Qaboos bin Said bin Taimur. May Allah rest his soul in peace. These possessions exceed 500 items. The corner will be placed at the museum in place overlooking the Alam Palace. It showcases an important part of the biography of Sultan Qaboos through displaying his personal possessions, which will be shown for the first time. The possessions include an old Holy Quran book, the sword of Ottoman Sultan Muhammad V, and banner of Sultan Jahangir of Mughals. BIA Company has undertaken a plan to close the old dump sites and replace them with engineered landfills. More details in the following report.
Aiming to reduce the impacts of traditional waste management practices and the harm caused by traditional dump sites on the environment, BIA has undertaken a plan to close the old dump sites and replace them with engineered landfills and transfer stations. BIA has established the required infrastructure for solid waste management by closing 310 old dump sites and replacing them with 11 engineered landfills across the country, which are compatible with essential international standards and specifications to preserve the environment.
BIA achieved since 2015 to direct all municipal solid waste from dump site to engineered landfill. The operation of engineered landfill is focusing on operation, management, maintenance, and closure and post-closure care. It is important to minimize the environmental impact associated from solid waste management disposal.
BIA has put in place measures that include reducing the tipping area in the landfill cell, compacting waste with special equipment, and covering waste with a thick layer of soil, which helps in reducing the amount of debris blown away by wind and reducing odors. After the cell reaches its maximum capacity, the cell is closed with special liner and gas network to curb environmental pollution and reduce risks of gas emissions such as methane and carbon dioxide. A leachate is a concentrated liquid produced by the composition of organic substances. Leachate treatment plant contributed to limit the environmental impact and turn the leachate into pure water, to be used in leached cooling tower, irrigation, as well as cleaning works. This step is considered one of the most important stages in preserving the environment and conserving groundwater. For the Sultanate of Oman Television, Saleh bin Khalfan al-Rahbi.
Oman Air launched a seasonal service between Muscat and Tbilisi in Georgia and Phuket in Thailand. The carrier will offer 2 weekly direct flights to Tbilisi on Wednesdays and Sundays, operated with Boeing 737 aircraft. Flights will operate from June 16th until mid-September. Flights to Phuket will be operated from 1st of July to 19th of September. Oman Air will maintain its comprehensive safety program throughout the journey to ensure that guests fly confidently. This is the Sultanate of Oman Television. Before we end tonight's bulletin, here are the main points once again. As signed by His Majesty the Sultan, His Highness Sayyid As'ad bin Tariq Al Said received the Prime Minister of the State of Palestine. As signed by His Majesty the Sultan, the Minister of Health participates in Gavi and COVAX Summit under the theme One World Protected. The COVID-19 Supreme Committee issues a set of new decisions that include permission to reopen mosques only to perform 5 daily prayers and exclusive of Friday prayers, permission to go to beaches and public parks, resume collective sports activities and ending ban on commercial activities at night period. Vaccination campaign for Royal Oman Police personnel starts at the Ministry of Health, and there's a report of 15 deaths and 1,258 new COVID-19 cases. And the divisions of the Sultan Armed Forces continue the completion of recruitment procedures at their various units. From all of us here at the studios and the newsroom, it's good night and stay safe.